Well, it was about this time of year. I think it was April, actually, of 1993. That's 30 years ago. Uh, I and a friend of mine, actually, he was my boss at the time, uh, the late, great Dr. Rick Potter. He is the creator of a psychological tool called the monkey puzzle. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. But he was a lifelong friend. Passed away a couple of years ago. Since he was one of our first lodge members at Harubraha Lodge OTO, which and was initiated with the first batch of our Minervals back in 1970, 78. Anyway, uh, we were close friends. He was a former musicians too, and literally we're old drinking buddies. Uh, anyway, since about 1985, I was working on an idea that started first as illustrations uh, for my Monday night magic class. I think it was Thursday night in those days. And I wanted to show how just the basic tarot uh, fundamentals of tarot were based on the fundamentals of Hermetic Kabbalah. It was no big thing because everything from astrology to phrenology to geomancy and Western ceremonial magic are all based, organized on the spiritual cosmic world view, if you will, of basic Kabbalah. The Enochian system, okay? And so I sort of wanted to illustrate in very, very simple terms how tarot, the structure of the tarot, the 22 trumps, the four suits, the four court cards, the 10 pips, how that just illustrates fundamental Kabbalistic principles. And eventually, as a project, I had the class get cards about this size, just card stock, and we sort of created our own tarot deck as we went along, which has a long tradition in Golden Dawn tradition of doing just that. And finally, it got to the point of, gee, if I could throw the images together and project all of this information on the cards themselves, like, well, here's an early rough draft of the Knight of Cups. There's the degrees of the zodiac, which I haven't filled in yet, and the approximate days of the year. And I'm getting ready to put an Enochian thing off of the square off of the Tablet of Union. And see, he's Knight of Cups, that's fire of waters, and that's that I Ching hexagram of fire and water. And there's the Tattva symbol, Hindu Tattva symbol of fire of water. And there's the fire of water, the fire subangle of the water tablet of the Enochian. Once you put it all on there, you go, oh, God, I kind of get it, okay? Anyway, I've been working on that for quite a while, and by around 1988, Christopher Hyatt became part of our lodge, a famous author in his own right. And he and I started to work on. He's asked me to contribute to his book on Western Tantra and things like that. And eventually, I started to get really serious about. I think I'm going to throw this thing together into a tarot deck project, and eventually, going through many many wild drafts and formats of how I wanted to put this material on there, I came to the point of where I had more or less real life, if you'll excuse me for a second, real life line drawings. Now, I'm not an artist or a technician, but I was managing a small one-man stock brokerage office in South Orange County, and I was in the office alone most of the day with all of the office equipment, and I could make transparencies, tracing things against the window, and a copy machine with that could enlarge and reduce and such. And so I finally ended up with this basic format. This is the format of the Trumps, of course, an uncolored line drawing format like that. Okay. And 30 years ago, about this time, the American Booksellers Association, it was actually called the American Books ABA, was having their national convention in Miami. And this was 1993. I had just released a new book with Weiser called The Magic of Thelema, which is now The Magic of Aleister Crowley. And Dr. Hyatt and I had 4 books that we had co-authored together, and I sort of had beginning credentials as an author. And of course, I had 2 publishers at the BEA. I thought I would go to the BEA, I would go to Miami, and pitch the idea of the Tarot of Ceremonial Magic. And the biggest publisher of tarot cards in the United States at the time was U.S. Game Systems. And I knew that U.S. Game, Stuart Kaplan of U.S. Games, was lifelong friends with Donald Weiser, who was my publisher. I just thought I'd give it a try. So my friend Rick Potter, who had just bought himself a new, beautiful red Mercedes, said, "Let's drive there." And well, anyway, we ended up doing that. It was a 21-day road trip. But my point is, I only had the line drawings to pitch this tarot deck. I didn't have, and so I asked Constance. I said, "Look, I'm going to drive with Rick Potter to Miami, and we're leaving like in 2 days. Are you out there, dear?" No, she'd know exactly. If I give you a chart of what colors you can and cannot use, or that you must use, in each of these cards, based on the Kabbalistic scales of color, okay, that if I give you a couple sheets of paper and tell you what colors must be used in each of these cards, will you paint them? And I said, I'm sorry, I just found out that Rick can drive me there. Can you do it? And she took the paper, she looked at the paper, and she got out her, like, praying watercolors, okay, and did it. And she turned this into this. And because I had the full set of uncolored ones like this, and I had them for a few days prior to that, and I was still working in the office, I created a pitch book. Tarot of Ceremonial Magic, a pictorial synthesis of the three great pillars of magic, tarot cards, and book. I didn't have a book. I hadn't written a book. This was all I had. But you got to sort of, anyway, here's what we have. And if I could read it to you there, maybe I don't have to, but it explains everything in the book, or in the features of the cards. Not just another novelty tarot deck, it's a powerful and effective learning tool. Students of astrology, Kabbalah, and magic have traditionally spent years memorizing tables, graphs, symbols that comprise the foundations of their art. The Tarot of Ceremonial Magic offers the opportunity to painlessly absorb large amounts of technical and symbolical information simply by working with the cards. There's no limit to the magical and divinatory applications of this deck. For example, a simple tarot spread can determine which Enochian angel or spirit of the Goetia would be appropriate to evoke, and which days of the years are sacred to those spirits. This is sort of sensational, okay? A magician knows what he can and cannot do with these things. Using the astrological information on the cards, one can instantly determine the correct significator of a tarot reading, or construct an astrological mandala of the 36 decans of the zodiac. Indeed, I did just that. Okay. Appropriate cards can be used to create the entire elemental apparatus of the Enochian magical system of John Dee. The operator can then actually see the intricate relationship with the Kabbalistic aspects of the tarot, spirits of the Goetia, angels of the Shemhamferish, and even the Yi Ching. Students who concentrate upon the various tattva symbols as part of their astral projection exercises can utilize the cards to cross-check and verify their experiences and visions. And then I said that, the cards are broken up, divided into 4 categories: 22 trumps, 4 aces, 16 court cards, and 36 small cards. The unique attributes of each of the above categories are illustrated on uncolored examples on the following pages. Okay, so this is show all the features of the trumps. Explain that, show where it is on the tree of life, etc. Key 11, Lust, Daughters of the Flaming Sword. Leo, July 22nd to August 22nd. Fire sign, fixed, ruler, Saul. And explain the Hebrew letter. Then I show the aces, an example of the ace. Okay, with the entire Enochian elemental tablet of air. Okay, got those symbols, the Tatva symbols, not colored in. All of the Enochian, the major Enochian spirits that are found. Okay, all the seniors, divine name. That's the pecking order. That's the higher order of hierarchy of the tablet of air. Okay, and which calls you use to trigger it. Okay, then court cards. Okay, show about the I Ching hexagram. Show the 30 degrees of the zodiac that it covers. Shows the sub-angle. This would be water of water. The sub-angle of the water sub-angle of the water tablet. Tablet of union square, Tattva symbol. Okay, then an example of the small cards. Okay, and all of the cool shit. The 10 degrees of the zodiac, the approximate days of the year. The square off of the Grand Cross of the Enochian system. And of course, the astrological, planetary and zodiacal thing. Goetia, sigil of the two Goetic spirits, one by day, one by night, and angels of the 10 degrees, two angels, 5 degrees each of the Shemhamferish. Then two fold-out cards that show all the small cards in the court cards as they would be projected on a tree of life. That's the discs, wands. Okay, you can imagine. Rick and I went all the way to through the South, driving. A tornado chased us across Texas, literally. We were lucky to be alive. We spent 3 days in New Orleans. Actually, it seemed more like 50 years in New Orleans. New Orleans was such a wild experience that I developed a severe case of laryngitis. I had no voice. I had no voice to pitch my tarot deck when I reached Miami. So I almost had to speak with my hands. I got to the convention and went straight to Donald Weiser at the Weiser booth, which happened to be right next door to the U.S. Games booth. And of course, I already knew Donald Weiser, and at the time, the magic of Thelema was doing very well, and I was sort of in good. He was happy to see me, and I said, I've got a tarot, and I held up the blank tarot cards, or the uncolored tarot cards, and I had a booklet of the colored tarot cards that I had arranged like this. I even had what I wanted the back of the cards to look like. I had let's see if I can do this. Okay. I had a pitch book like this. These, of course, are the finished product, but okay, so that there was the trumps. Then I had something like this. There is the Ace of Swords. That tablet of union shows where the Ace of Swords would be. See the colored line on top, X harp. There's the Enochian, a blow up of the Enochian elemental tablet of air, which is in the corner there. Then there's the 4 court cards. Now eventually I decided on one image, one line image for each of the 16 court cards. I mean the same outline for the knight, the queen, the prince, and the princess, and just relied on the colors, the different colors, elemental colors, to distinguish the different suits, and a couple of other little things, attachments on them that characterize them. So you see the 4 court cards are the subdivisions. The knight there is the air, the fire of air. Queen is the water of air. Prince is the air of air. And the princess is the earth of air, subdivision or subangle of the Enochian system. And the entire square is shown, complete with the angels. Then do the same thing with water and the suit of cups and the court cards of cups. Same thing with earth and subangles of earth, and for Bitum, fire. Okay. As you can imagine, I had to talk really fast, and I couldn't talk. I sounded more or less like this. But I displayed this as we went along. And I only got about 2 pages into it, and Donald Weiser told me, look, I'll take you over and introduce you to Stuart Kaplan. And I said, yeah, that's what I drove across the country to do, And then audaciously and little white lie-ish, I told him, I've got a book that goes with this too. He said, all right, okay. That's just, and he took me over to Stuart Kaplan. He said, Stuart, this is our author, Lon Milo DuQuette. He has created a deck of tarot cards. You're going to do the deck, and we're going to do his book. And Stuart Kaplan hardly looks at this. He just looks at a few of the trump cards that Constance has painted, and he says, okay, we'll do it. And that was that. Almost, I don't know, was it almost 10 days driving across the South, getting laryngitis, going to the convention, and the deal was done in probably less than 6 minutes. And then I had to actually get the cards in shape to do that. and write this book that describes it. So that was probably 1993. Oh, the small cards I put in groups. See the twos, threes, and fours of the trumps, or excuse me, of the small cards, each represent 10 degrees of one sign. So for fire, that would be Aries. And the three, excuse me, the, yeah, 2, 3, 4, and the 5, 6, 7s represent the mutable signs. Oh, excuse me, the fixed signs of the zodiac. So there's Taurus. And the 8s, 9s, 10s represent the mutable signs of the zodiac. So as I've got the cards arranged, sort of like that. So as we go through the signs of the zodiac, like that, we go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Anyway, that is my story. As things go in the publishing circles, it was finally 1995. That was 1993. The cards came out. The cards came out just a few months before the book. And for a while, Weiser published the cards in the book together in a box of its own, or was it U.S.? It was U.S. Games that did that. And if you're a collector now, that box set is from U.S. Games is really a premium thing. I don't even think I have one. Maybe I do. But anyway, it's gone through, it was 10 years, almost 11 years that U.S. Games had it, and went through two print runs, which was quite a few cards. And understandably, after 2 print runs, they decided to quit while they were ahead. That was sort of that edition. And my friend at Thalesis Aura did a small interim print run, and now they're being sold by, and completely a new reprint with cool colors and such, and other little doodads that U.S. Games and Thalesis Aura didn't have, and Tree of Life card and things like that. Anyway, that's my little memories. It was quite an adventure, and literally driving through, Alabama and Mississippi and things like that. I could understand the magician's view of doing any sort of creative work that's associated with one's own, at least idea of one's own great work, that everything that you hope will manifest on the material plane requires that you go to hell and harness forces that more or less oblige you to at least temporarily go to hell to get things done. But anyway, that's my little story for today. Constance did truly a miraculous job of painting the cards with only a couple of days. I don't know how many cards she had to do a day. Are you out there, dear?
I'm out there. I'm out there.
How?
I'm always out there.
She's out there. How many cards did you have to do a day before
Oh,
Rick?
I don't know. Sometimes 4 or 5, but sometimes just 2. Depends. I have plain watercolor set and 2 funky brushes. So, and I had, not done this since, grade school? No. So, I have gotten a little better.
Yes, she's got.
And I didn't want to do it either. But Lon has ways. He's very intimidating.
What are you suggesting?
Okay, what am I suggesting?
They're going to get the wrong idea.
No, they're not.
Okay, well, thank you, dear. They've gone around the world many times. And
You're welcome.
so that's it for today. Continue to be good to yourself, be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law.
Love is the law. Love under will.
Thank you, my little love muffin.
They didn't hear that, did they?
Yes.
He's not allowed to call me that. I'm going to call him my love custard.